So again, this is the last section that we're going to cover in chapter 1, and we're going to be describing angle pair relationships, and it's got a lot of good information. So let's see what it is. So you've probably seen the first two that are listed here, complementary and supplementary. You probably learned these throughout middle school. So complementary are two angles whose measures have a sum of 90 degrees. Now, key number here, it can only be two angles that will add up to be 90 degrees. Now, if they ask you to pick a pair of complementary angles, they don't have to be adjacent, they just have to add up to be 90 degrees. Now, notice here the word adjacent. If you think of just about the vocabulary term adjacent, the word adjacent means next to. So when I refer to two angles that are adjacent, I'm talking about two angles that are right next to each other. So there are two angles that share a common vertex and a side, but have no common interior points. So they can't overlap. My trick for complementary, I have a trick for complementary and supplementary to help you remember. For complementary, sometimes I think of, like when I say my ABCs and I get all the way here to L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, I can think that C comes before S when I sing my ABCs, so I think of C being, if I were counting upward, 90 becomes before 180, so the complementary goes with the 90, supplementary goes with the 180. Another thing I do is I take the word complementary, so if I just start to write the first four letters, and if I take this C and I put a little stick here, this looks like a 90. For supplementary, if I take the word supplementary, I'm just going to write the first four letters, and if I take this S and I put a line this way, it looks like I'm making an 8. So this tells me this is the 180 word. So just know the difference between complementary, they add to 90, two angles, and supplementary are two angles that add to 180. And again, they don't need to be adjacent. So like in this picture here, notice 1 and 2 are adjacent. They are next to each other. They share this vertex and they share this side. So if I told you that angles 1 and 2 were complementary, I could say angle 1 is 20 and angle 2 could be 70. Okay, you can also have complementary angles that are not adjacent. This could be 30 and this could be 60. As long as when you take them and add them, they add up to be 90, then they're complementary. Same thing for the supplement. If this one's 120, then I know that this one's 60, because together, when I add them, they need to add to be 180. I could do the same thing here. I could say this is 110 and this one's 70. Again, when I add those numbers, they do equal 180 degrees. A lot of times when we're writing proofs, we would be saying like angle 1 plus angle 2 equals 90 degrees. Over here, because they're supplements, I could say 5 plus 6 equals 180. And we'll be writing statements like this in our proofs. First example, it says use the figure to name a pair of complementary angles. So again, key here, you know that complementary angles, when you add them, they need to be 90. So I'm looking for two angles. So I'm going to try the 32 and the 58. I'm going to try to add that, see if it gives me 90. It does. So I could say, and I'm going to name this with 3 letters because I can't just call this one angle A, so I need to use these 3 letters. I'm either going to name this angle 32, I'm going to either name it BAC, or I could go in reverse. The A has to be the middle letter. And then over here, it doesn't matter. I can call this 58-degree angle either RST or TSR. So the two complementary angles, let's just say I use BAC and RST. That would be a pair of two complementary angles.
For the second angle, couldn't it also be angle S?
Yes, good catch. So because there's only one angle here, yes, you could use one letter on that one. Okay, for the supplements, we're looking for two angles when we add them that give us 180 degrees. So here, again, I'm going to use the 122 this time, and I'm going to add it to the 58. Because if I do 122 plus 58, I get 180. So for the supplements, again, I'm going to do CAD. I could also call this angle DAC. And then again, I could just say, like Isabella just said, call it angle S, or any of these other three. The adjacent angles in these pictures are these two right here. So we can call it DAC is adjacent to angle CAB. Or again, you can do it in reverse. Notice they are sharing vertex A, and the side that they're sharing is this CA. Now, if this were a homework question, all of the work that I'm about to do would be necessary to include in your homework. So here it says, when viewed from the side, the frame of a ball return net forms a pair of supplementary angles with the ground. Find the measure of BCE. So let me, I guess, go over this. So BCE is right here, B to C to E. So this angle right here, which represents 4x plus 8, along with ECD, which is here, which is represented by x plus 2. Notice in the problem, they told me that these are supplementary angles. This is key because this is going to tell me what I'm going to set my equation equal to. So again, supplementary angles are two angles when you add them, and their sum is 180. So I'm adding BCE, which is 4x plus 8, to ECD, which is x plus 2, and I'm setting it equal to 180 degrees. I now need to solve for x, and then I substitute it back in to find the two angle measures. So I'm going to add my like terms. 4x plus 1x gives me 5x. Then I'm going to add 8 plus 2, and I get 10. Still equal to 180. Need to isolate x, so I subtract 10. 5x equals 170. Divide by 5, and x equals 34. Now again, the question didn't ask for x, it asked for BCE, the measure of that, and the measure of ECD. So BCE was the 4x plus 8. I'm going to take out x, put in 34, and I multiply 4 times 34, and I get 136. Add the 8, and I get 144. For the ECD, that's the x plus 2, so 34 plus 2, and that gives me 36. One way that I can double check to make sure I've done my problem correctly is I could go back and quickly add 144 plus 36. If these two angles don't add to be 180, I've done something wrong. So the measure of BCE is 144, and the measure of ECD is 36. So again, I need to see all of this algebraic work on any of these word problems, or any of the problems that are going to ask you to set up algebraic equations. If this were a homework question, I should not see just 144 and 36 written on your paper. Again, all the work must be included. All right, let's go on to the next slide. Big SAT stuff, and we will be also using this a lot in our geometry proofs starting in the next chapter. So 2 definitions here. The first one is a linear pair, and that's going to be 2 adjacent angles when non-common sides are opposite rays. They always form supplementary angles. The other type of angle on this page are vertical angles. And vertical angles are 2 angles whose sides form 2 pairs of opposite rays. So the first picture here is the picture of the linear pair. Notice when I created the angle, not do this like this. So this first angle, angle 1, and then I have angle 2. Notice the non-common side. This one in here where it's both red and blue, this is the common side. Notice how it's a single red line and a single blue. This is the non-common side. Notice it forms an opposite ray. So these are also supplements. Now vertical angles, generally you're going to have 2 lines. They're going to intersect. They're going to be like forming an X. And then they form pairs of vertical angles. The vertical angles here would be angle 3 is vertical to angle 6, and angle 4 is vertical to angle 5. Now coming up, you're going to learn that vertical angles are congruent. That's why I put these same type of markings on the pairs of vertical angles. So if, for example, in my picture here, if angle 3, let's say this was 70, then angle 6 would be 70, and then I could figure out how much angle 4 is, because it's a linear pair now with 4, and I could do 180 minus 70, and then 4 would be 110, and so would be 5. I'm jumping ahead, but I just want to show you how this is all going to tie together. So vertical angles we're going to learn later on are going to be congruent. Now, one thing you could maybe think about is if you have your 2 lines here, you could think of this as being a V, and then if you put a line here, it's like vertical angles. So the V at the top, vertical, and then when you put that line across, angle. These are vertical angles. And then same thing here if you turn it sideways. Whatever little trick will help you remember. Okay, let's go on. Let's try an example. Now notice no picture was provided. So again, I always like to draw myself a picture. So it says 2 angles form a linear pair. So let me just draw a linear pair here. And it says the measure of one angle is 5 times the measure of the other. Find each angle. So if I let this one be X, and then this one will be 5 times that other angle, which is 5X. Remember a linear pair, these are supplements. So to solve this, I'm going to do X plus 5X and set it equal to 180 degrees. Combine my X's. Divide. X equals 30. So that's one of my angles, this one right here. And then to find the other one, I'm going to plug it in, and I get 150. So the measure of the first angle is 30, and then the second angle is 150. Now, if you maybe saw this type of word problem back in middle school, you might not have been exposed to the algebra part of it, and you may have had to guess and test. But now you've already taken Algebra 1, so you should have a good handle on setting up algebraic equations for these word problems. The next one. So again, it's our link to algebra here. So it says the measure of an angle, so I'm going to let that be x, is, usually whenever I see the word is, that's my equal sign, twice the measure of its complement. Find the measure of each angle. Now, let's think about this. If I have an angle here, and let's say I told you that these two angles were complementary. Let's say I tell you this one's x and this one's 40. What would you do to find x if I told you that those two angles were complementary? How could you find out what x is? Remember, complementary angles add to be 90. So if I wanted to find this missing angle, all I would do is 90 minus 40, and the complement would be 50. I'm going to use that same idea in this word problem. The measure of its complement, so if the angle is x, I'm going to do 90 minus x to get the complement. And then it said it was twice that measure. So I'm going to do 2 times 90 minus x. And again, remember my word is here was my equal sign. So here's my equation. X equals 2 times 90 minus x. I'm going to apply my distributive property. I'm going to distribute the 2 to the 90 and to the x. I'm now going to combine my x's together. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides. And get 3x equals 180. Divide by 3, and x equals 60 degrees. So the angle was 60, and then the complement, if I plug it in, I can do 2 times 90 minus 60. 2 times 90 minus 60 is 60. So the measure, twice the measure of its complement. So I could plug it in there, and that would be the complement, twice the measure of the complement. So the complement was 30. So if I add, so the two angles are going to be 30. Let me fix this. Two angles are going to be 30 degrees and 60 degrees. Because the complement was 30, which was this part. And then if I doubled it, just to double check it. So 60 equals 60. It did check out. Pretty good on that. Once you found what the angle was, just do 90 minus 60 to get the two angles. Okay, next one, just interpreting a diagram. So when you're interpreting a diagram, there's some things that you can conclude from a diagram and some things that you cannot. So for example, in this picture, we can conclude that all points shown are coplanar. We could also see that A, B, and C are collinear. We could also say that AC, BD, and BE are all intersecting at point B. We could see that these are adjacent angles. We could also say that ABC is a straight angle. But we cannot conclude that this is a right angle because it doesn't have the marking. Or they would have to tell us that they're perpendicular. We also can't conclude that these are congruent because they don't have markings. So if it doesn't have markings, even though it looks like it's the same size, you can't conclude that. Or if they had numbers, then you can conclude that. So don't assume anything. The only thing you can assume from a picture is that you have a straight line or a straight angle. You can never assume that something's a right angle unless it tells you it's 90 or it has the little square. All right, let's try the next one. So here we go. The only thing we can assume from this first picture is that we have a straight angle here, or a straight line, which then creates a linear pair. So I know that these two angles, when I add them, they're supplements, they're going to equal 180. So in order to find the measure of EFH, which is this angle right here, I'm going to set up an algebraic equation. I'm going to be doing 3x minus 6, and then I'm going to add it to the other side, the 2x plus 16, and it's equal to 180. I'm going to combine my like terms. 3x and 2x gives me 5x. I'm going to add negative 6 plus 16, I get 10, and it equals the 180. I'm going to move the 10. 5x equals 170. Divide by 5, and I get 34 again. Now it didn't ask for x, it asked for the measure of EFH. EFH is right here, so I'm going to be doing 3x minus 6, take out the x, put in 34. 3 times 34 is 102 minus 6, and the measure of this angle is 96 degrees. And the last example, ABC, is the angle they want me to find. Notice I've got the little right angle marking. So this tells me that these two angles are complements. So I'm going to add them. I'm going to add ABC, which is x plus 9, this one, and I'm going to add that to CBD, which is 2x. They're complements, so they equal 90. I'm going to add my like terms. X plus 2x gives me 3x. Still have the plus 9 equals the 90. I'm going to move the 9. 3x equals 81. Divide by 3, and x equals 27. Again, it did not ask for x, it wants ABC. ABC is right here. It's x plus 9, 27 plus 9, and I get 36. So ABC equals 36 degrees. If they ask me to find CBD, I could either double it and get 72, so 2 times 36, or I'm sorry, 2 times 27, and get 54. And then again, a way you can double check is go back and add these. If it doesn't add to 90, you've done something wrong. But this question didn't ask for everything. It only wanted ABC, so you just had to get 36. So that is it for your angle pairs.
Miss Corey,
Yes.
let's say it did want every single angle that's available, like ABC and then ABB. Would you have to label all of them and then put what each angle is equal to, or can we just write what they're equal to?
You could just fill it in the picture, or, you know, you could say angle ABC equals, either way. Either label the picture or just put what each one is.
But if we just put 36, whatever, whatever, and we don't say which one is which.
I should be able to figure it out, but just be careful because when you go to take something like this on a multiple choice test, they may switch it up on you. So they may say CBD, it was supposed to be 54, but let's say a different answer choice might have ABC with the 54 and then CBD with the 36. So that's how multiple choice tests can be, tricky. So you might want to get in the habit of writing down what each one equals, and then that way when you go to take a test, you'll know to look for the correct choice.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? All right. So I'll let you know tomorrow about the quiz and when I'll release the results of that. Hopefully I'll speak to the people that just joined the class and see if they can take it maybe tomorrow morning, and then I can get those results back to you so you can review your quiz for the test on Thursday. Pretty good? All right, so that's it. So you do have the homework, the 1-6. Try to open it. Make sure you don't have any problems opening it up. And again, these are all odds, so you should be able to check your answers. However, if any of the ones that you're checking, if you still don't understand, those will be the ones I work out tomorrow. And then on Canvas, you already have, there's 2 different test reviews. One of them, I'm going to give you the answers. The other one is homework, and you're going to turn it in. But that's it. Any questions? All right. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys tomorrow, bright and early.
Thank you, you too.
Have a good
Welcome.
day.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a
Thank
good day.
you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Rip Chadwick Boseman.